What's going on, y'all? All right, so we finally have another trade recap to go over. And this one wasn't really... It was a trade, but I mean, it's almost a break-even trade, kind of. But I really wanted to go over this too, though, because I was kind of neutral in my bias today. But I had a lot of reason why price could go higher and a lot of reason why price could go lower. So I think this is going to be a really good, pretty good trade recap, even though the trade itself was kind of like a half trade. So I'll go into that. But first, and this week's been kind of a little bit, I want to say rough, but the trades haven't really been there. I think it was Monday. I mean, this was really my first real trade. I did take an entry yesterday, but I don't know if y'all saw all over social media. There was rhythmic issues, trade evade issues, trading view issues. I actually had an issue with my live account here because I execute on trading view. And my live account through NinjaTrader Brokerage is connected via Trade Evade down here, as you can see down here. So there was actually a technical issue between Trading View and Trade Evade, which also impacted my other accounts. So I actually got stuck, and I was able to flatten and basically took like, I don't know, a $20, $30 win per account. But it was basically me getting in and being like, oh crap, something's going on. I'm getting pop-ups from Trading View, which never happens. Let me get out. And I sat out. So anyways, let's go into today. Today is March 26th, Wednesday. All right. So there's a lot going on right here, but this is the daily chart. So first, let's start on the weekly chart because this is where I really want to bring your attention. Let's zoom out here. Okay, weekly chart. We ran up here, and this is where we started to sell off the past few weeks, right? So what do we have here? We have a weekly fair value gap as we took these lows. So what do you call that? A market structure shift with some displacement, right? And then we have this fair value gap as well. Now, we haven't taken any other lows on the left on the weekly. But if you look, we have this fair value gap with a bit. Don't focus on all this. I'll remove this here in a second so we can see what's going on, and you'll see why I have all this jumbled mess. But see, we also have a volume imbalance right here on the weekly. Okay, so this is closed. This is there, and this fair value gap. So you just combine them, and look what we did today. So keep that in mind. That's what this little brownish shaded area is. So now let's go to the daily. This is where I want to bring your attention. And let me go ahead and remove these drawings real quick. These drawings are gone. So if you remember where that weekly fair value gap was, okay? Actually, you know what? Let's do this first. Here's that weekly fair value gap. Let's zoom in really nice here so everybody can see. Monday, we came up and took all these highs, leaving this volume imbalance right here. Bring your attention to this. Right there, okay? Let's make it orange or something. Okay, volume imbalance. So now, if it leaves this volume imbalance is going up, where's it headed to? Well, you had a volume imbalance right here on the daily chart, right? So what did it do? Drew up in there. Closed Monday. Tuesday. We had to open, low, high. Where's this high? And close. Where's that high? Right at about the midpoint of that weekly fair value gap. So then today, we opened, and because yesterday closed up, we got this volume imbalance, which also created this big daily fair value gap. All right. So this big blue shaded area from here, and you include the volume imbalance. Okay. So that's a big daily fair value gap. Now let me go back and add this volume imbalance so you can see both. All right. Whenever I drop down into lower time frames. So what do we have? We opened up here. We reached up. So this was my confliction. Okay. This was what I was thinking. When we open, we're going to do one of two things. We're going to open, since we opened, let's really zoom in here. We opened right above consequent encroachment of this weekly, or basically right at it, right? And when we opened, we kind of went up. Right here is previous day high. So we went up, swept previous day high. But at the moment, when we were up here, I was like, okay, we're either going to reject here and we're going to run all the way down to this volume imbalance, or right up here at the high of this weekly fair value gap, we have last month's low right there. So I'm thinking, okay, if price wants to remain bullish, it's going to go up there, okay? Because what do we have on the daily chart here? Took these highs with displacement, this fair value gap. So if price is going to be bullish, it's likely to trade up there. Now, because we have this weekly fair value gap and we hit the middle of it, I'm like, okay, if price does not want to be bullish, we're likely to trade down into this volume imbalance. So going forward after today, because you see obviously what happened, we came down into the volume imbalance. Let's zoom in here. Here's the low right here. Here's that volume imbalance. So we did go into that volume imbalance. Okay. And since we traded into it, going forward, here's what I'm going to be looking for. Are we going to invert this completely? Or are we going to go from here and continue to be bullish? That's going to be a key. If we invert this completely, we're going down. And I believe we do go down because look what we have back here. Some relatively equal lows. This low did take this low, I believe, by a little bit. So let's see. We have the low right here. If you look over here, you got this L. This is the low of this wick was 602.50. The low of this one was 604.25. So we did make a slightly lower low, but we still have this relatively equal low down here. Okay. So that's what I'm thinking happens because to the long side, we delivered pretty well. Okay. Except for back here, this is the only type of imbalance like right here that we left open. This is the daily chart still. Okay. Which is also here, which obviously you can see the weekly fair value gap, right? And then we have this imbalance, but it traded up through it, rebalanced it there, and dropped. So it may not come back up there for a good while if it does. So I'm going to lean more towards being bearish Thursday, Friday to head down, and maybe we'll see what happens next week. But that's where I'm going to lean more towards and just kind of watch and see. But also what I was looking at when price was up here, you see how we had this volume imbalance here? And we were coming down into it. I was waiting to see if it was going to act as an inversion. I was also looking at that. I didn't think we would really because we're coming off the midpoint of this weekly fair value gap. I figured if it does start coming down here, it's likely just to go down to previous day high, sweep the daily low. So yeah, that's what I was looking at here on the daily. All right, so now let's drop down some time frames real quick. Let's go to the 1 hour. 1 hour, I was looking at, I know my screen, my charts are a little jumbled here, or a little messy, but it's just really to show all, like it wasn't all the way like this. It's just really to show you everything. Okay. So we did have a huge opening range gap from Monday, the 24th. Here's the low and here's the high right here. And here's the middle of it. So we never closed it. Okay. But that's besides the point. What I wanted to show here was I was looking here as a sell side liquidity because we were way up here, right? For the moment, I was looking at this relatively equal low as a sell side liquidity. We had this 1 hour fair value gap right here. So if you look at 3 a.m., we hit that, came back down, delivered right back up here, rejected. And then this was the 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock drop, right? But this didn't close until 10 a.m. So I wouldn't see this fair value gap until 10 a.m. anyways. But then once we clear this, where am I looking at next? So like that's what I'm looking at. Where am I anticipating price to draw to? And then look for a potential market structure shift and a pullback. That's what I do. Okay. So the next draw after these lows, and then we cleared this right here, this shaded area, is that volume imbalance, which I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that there. Let's get rid of it. Okay. And it exited out of that weekly fair value gap here. Now, when it did come down, where am I looking at now? I'm looking at this low, which so happens to be previous day low. Okay. And it's actually the high of that daily fair value gap right here. So I'm like, okay. And then we have, let me go to the 4 hour because we did have a 4 hour fair value gap right here as well and a 15-minute one. Okay. And then the opening range gap, the high of that opening range gap in this area. So here, let me get rid of this real quick. Okay. So then let me go to the 4 hours so you can see the one I was talking about. It was this fair value gap that I was talking about on the 4 hour right here, right in that area. 15-minute. We're dropping down right here. This is the 15-minute fair value gap that I was watching. Well, it's like a volume imbalance, really. It was this right here. It's a volume imbalance. Overlapping that 4 hour, okay, and that opening range gap high from 2 days ago. And this is previous day low. So I'm like, you know what? If we're selling off, let's sell off to this area, and then I'll look to see if we get a reversal from there or not. So we sold off. We reached on this area. We actually came all the way down here, rebalanced this 4 hour, and then came up. This is actually where I got my entry here. Because like I said, I was looking for a trade along in this area to potentially pull back up to any internal range liquidity that we may have. And I, as you know, look for low-hanging fruit, anywhere from 35 to 60-ish points. And that's it. That's all I need. So even if so basically that allows me to trade a pullback or a continuation of whatever's happening. All right. If that makes sense. So let's drop down into the 1 minute so I can really refine this and show you what I did. Okay. So here we go. Here's the 1 minute. Here's the 1 minute. Here's the open. Here's our first presented fair value gap right here, which we had a little bitty one right here, but that didn't do anything. So then we jumped up here at 935, inverted it right there. So now, actually, let's get rid of this, and I'll come back to this fib in a minute. So now we did that sell-off. We stopped, kind of did a little stop here, and I'm like, no, we're too close to this area. We're going to get down there. There's zero way I'm looking for a long right now. Pulled back up, created this new 15-minute fair value gap from that point to that point, and then did this kind of like little mess, and then dropped and actually created a 5-minute fair value gap right here. As you can see, I marked it. It inverted it. So that's what also gave me my long. So anyways, pulled back down. It came into this area. Now I'll zoom in. See, we had this little... you know what? I forgot to remove this because there was a little data blip here and it gave me a volume imbalance, but I saw that it wasn't one and I forgot to remove it. So let me remove that. So also I was looking right here. We had a 3-minute fair value gap. Okay. I removed that when I was supposed to leave it for this video. There's a 3-minute fair value gap right there. So I was looking at this. And then we dropped down. We had a 5-minute fair value gap. As you can see, we had some fair value gaps in here. So I was like, okay, let's wait and see if price actually goes up or not. Came up, chopped here, just kind of did this. Came back down here. And then this is where we had a market structure shift. Right up here, left this fair value gap. It's a First, here, let's delete this so we can see. First, we came up here and left this 1 minute fair value gap, and then we left this one. But I was like, no, we're hitting this 5 minute, came down, and then when we came back up and closed, it basically reclaimed this fair value gap and then left these. Okay. And then when it did that, it came up and inverted this 5 minute. So I was like, ooh, if it comes back down into this inversion and into any of this fair value gap here, I'm going to look to long anywhere in this area. And what I'm going to aim for is basically up here, where we have kind of like an internal range, little internal buy side liquidity right here. And then at this high, inside this 3 minute fair value gap. So I got minor buy side marked there. So I was like, yeah, if I take a trade, obviously you can see I got in at 290.50, which is up here. I was really wanting to get in at this low point. But anyways, 290.50. And then from that point on, I was like, yeah, I can grab me, let's see, 290.50. From right here was my target. About 50-ish points, right? It's about 50 points right there. 53.5 points. I was like, yeah, that'd be good. That'd be great. And then from there, if it wants to not hold up or continue dropping, I don't care. So it did. It pulled back here, hopped in, and look at this price action. Respected the inversion here, and I was kind of like, well, I was in a winning position most of the time. Where's 90.50? $90.50, I'm going to right here. So basically, this was my entry. Oops. Entry right here. And by the way, I'm at 17 minutes on this video. I've given up on trying to do 10 minutes. I'm just going to do my recap. And if I can be under 20 minutes, that's great. So this is my entry line. So you can see I was in the heat a little bit. But the bodies, I was watching where the bodies were closing. Coming down, boom, bodies closing. And then it did run up here. I was like, all right, we need to displace and go. But it wasn't doing it. So I was like, and my stop was down here. And I was like, well, actually it was at this low. And then I ended up tightening it under this low. And then I was like, man, we're just failing to get up there. We're failing. So as soon as we made this higher high right here, I was like, yeah, see, I got out at 301.25 right there. So I went ahead and put my stop. I brought it right up under this wick right here. Boom. Because at that point, I was in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 minutes. And it's failing to displace. It's failing to continue, right? So I'm like, yeah, no. I'm just going to move my stop up under this wick right here. If it knocks me out, it knocks me out. I don't care. It's already, look at the time, 11:14 right here, right? It should have, the macro at 10:50 macro ends at 11:10, and it failed, right? So that was the high right there. So I was like, man, I'm just going to put my stop right here under this. Knocks me out and goes. I don't care. Knocks me out. I don't care what it is. So that's what happened. Knocked me out. And then as you can see, it's a good thing I did that because it ended up continuing down. So why did it continue down? Well, at this point, I mean, it was supposed to from the get-go. If you look at it, right? Off the mid point of that 15 minute. Oh, hold on real quick. Let's show you. Let me show you what I wanted to show. We had that opening range as well, which is between 9:30 and 10 a.m. This was the high and this was the low. So if you mark the high, mark the low, throw some deviations out there with the fib, look what happened. Look what happened. Came back up. Here's that area. Once it started dropping again through this mess, as soon as it started dropping again, I said, oh, of course we're going to go to the midpoint of that fair value gap. Of course, if it goes below the midpoint of that fair value gap, we're going to go down to the volume imbalance. It's just the way it works, right? So right here was, I don't know if you can really see. Actually, now that I'm through this video, let me go ahead and erase some of this stuff. Here. Okay. So right here was the first deviation, the minus 0.25. Boom, from the opening range. If you measure the opening range, right? And then once it starts dropping through here, I was looking at this already like, oh, we're going to take this low. We're going to head down now. Like there's no doubt about it. And then sure enough, broke through. Look what it hit. Boom, last week high. Okay, come back up. Boom, the middle, the daily fair value gap with the imbalance attached. Bam, the middle of it right there. And then look what it's doing on this -1 deviation. Boom, look where the bodies are closing. Boom. Then you have the afternoon macro cranking up. Wicked up to take out any buy stops. Boom, drop. Boom, drop. Here's the midpoint of that opening range gap that never closed. Boom. At this point, it's inevitable. It's going to go down to that volume bounce. That's why I left this orange. What do we have there too? The new week opening gap, the high that never got touched since we had that new week opening gap at the beginning from last Friday's close to Sunday night, the 23rd's open. Right? I think that's the 20th Sunday. Yeah. So it never touched it. So it's bound to come back to it. So like, there's many opportunities. None of this after that trade. First of all, I took a trade. I can't take another trade. I'm a one and done guy. Second of all, none of this fit into my model afterwards. Like it's just not how I do it. Even though I can sit here and watch and know where price is going to go. Like I just can't do it. But it's inevitable. Comes down, right back up to the -1 deviation here, midpoint of that gap. And then look, bam, right down to that volume balance. Bam, which is also the -1.5 deviation, the new week opening gap, and the high of that volume balance. Boom. Look at that. Just beautiful. And then we go off to the close. And if I go to the 15-minute chart here, look at it. Sell off. Here's that gap. Pulled up. That was my pullback. It just didn't go up high enough where I wanted it to. It is what it is. And then came down. Last week's high. Pull back up. Came down. Pull back. Look at the bodies. Pull back up. Boom. Right there. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Right? So, yeah. We still have more room to go down. So that's why I believe, and if I go to that 1 hour chart, here's those relatively equal lows. Here's that sell side liquidity. We're back down in the mid 19,000s if we continue down, which I believe we should. So anyways, that's my explanation, my recap. Let's pull up the video because I like to show the video so you know I actually traded it and I pull my account summary over every time. So let's just go ahead and fast forward. You can see the time on the bottom right. See the little data blip right there? That's what I was talking about with the volume imbalance. Let's go ahead and fast forward it to the section where I take my trade. Get there. Okay, here's that area I definitely wanted price to trade down to, and it did. Yeah, let's just keep fast forwarding here. Okay. And obviously, we're not going to go the whole 18 minutes while I was in my trade. All right, so here we go. We did this run up. Let's back up. Here's where I was waiting. I was like, okay. And I'm measuring this little price leg because I want to be in around 50% or less. Like, so if I can get in around this area or the 50% mark, then that's where I kind of want to enter in. So we get close and we start hesitating right here at that inversion. So I'm like, yeah, let me just hop in. I don't want to miss this move because I think it should run up. But so I hop in. I'm like, yeah, let me go ahead. This low is really the best area for my stop. So if it's going to work, it's not going to take this low. So now I'm watching. So you can see I put my target right at this high here. So I'm aiming for I'm in at, what is this? 90, 50. So about 50 points. My stop is a little higher. It was like 30, 35 points. So I don't like my stop to be much more than 30 points or so. So I'm waiting to see. Once it gives me a reason, I can tighten up. I know I'm really not expecting a 35-point stop to get hit. So we're in it. I pull my screen over here. My account summary. So you can see all my PA accounts that I've had forever. All right, it's going up. We got a nice little decent profit going. But then it's failing. It's failing to really displace and go. Like this was some displacement, but then it pulled back here and it should just continue, but it just failed. Look where it's at. Where it's right here is the opening range low. It's the low of the opening range. So yeah, like, man, this is not, it's failing. But you can see at one point I was up $4,000, $5,000 even, I believe, at some point. But that's not it's not what I'm going after. I have my target. So let's keep fast forwarding here. I don't know what my high mark was. Let's see. What was that? Let's go back here. We get up to, about 6,500. About 6,500 there on the high mark. And then I'm like, yeah, this is failing. Look at the time. We're outside of that macro time now. So I'm like, yeah, I already tightened my stop here. I was kind of thinking about closing it, thinking about letting it go. But after this bar closed here above that opening range low, I was like, I don't know. I'm not loving this. It should have went already. So I go ahead and pull my stop right up under this low. Because at this point, it's just like, whatever. This isn't going. Well, I pull it up to break even first, but I do end up bringing it up here. Because I'm like, man, this, like, I could have just closed it right now. But either way, could have just closed it or could have brought it up under this low, and that's what I did. Because I like to still give it the opportunity, even though it should not be doing what it's doing right here. So let's fast forward it. Gives one more little pop up there. And I was going to close. What my thinking was is if it fails to take this high, I'm just going to close. But you see, it was reaching, and then it just kind of came down, like not fast, but I was just like, let me just go ahead and move my stop first. And then you'll see it's going to hit my stop right there. Boom. Knocks me out. Got to make sure and flatten everything because a couple accounts were still loose. So we got flat. And yeah, little win there, 2,200, but yeah, it didn't go. So in that case, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. I would rather get out. So that's the way that worked out. That's the recap. But, you got to realize sometimes too, if you know what should happen and it fails to happen, you either need to cut it or tighten your stop, cover your break even, in my opinion. Because when the days that it does work, I would get in here and it'll just go, right? Like it might not go straight there, but it'll go. Like you'll see, like, okay, it's going, right? This, you need to go to break even and close it or tighten up, because that's not what should happen. It's just the way I look at it. So anyways, let's see if we get something for tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. Real quick, little update. Having a good month though. Having a pretty good month. 69% win rate. However, these smaller winning days here, got a few small winning days that hasn't really worked out very well. So what that's done is that it's decreased my average win-loss ratio. This needs to be between 1.5 to 2, preferably. It was before today, it was at 1.28, or before the last 2 days of those small wins. But I need to get it up there. But I mean, I've taken payouts now. I'm up 33 grand for the month, taking payouts of almost 9 grand. So I could actually request on some more accounts today, but I'm not going to. And the reason why is because I need to get a little more buffer in them. I like to have more buffer. So anyways, yep. And then I'll do an end of month. We only have 3 more days left of the month. So I'll do an end of month, basically recap and see where we go from there. All right. That'll end the first quarter. Hope y'all have a great day. And let's see if we get something good for the rest of the week. So as always, trade well, everybody. Take care.